Welcome everybody to the QSL in our first majors match of the season. This is really exciting for me. It is V-Bakas versus the Reapers. It is the one, the only Panda Bear Ash, and my dearest friend Edzy, who I just met 20 minutes ago. How's it
Not
going,
even
Edzy?
10. Not even 10 minutes, about 5 minutes, just to say,
Ah, it's fine. We're good friends already. You know?
Yeah, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
roll with that, we'll roll
Yeah,
with
we'll roll
that.
with it. We're rolling with it. As you have no choice, we are.
Yep. Alright, yeah,
Alright.
so, this is gonna be a decent game, first major
Yeah.
set of the season, especially being live casted for sure. You got 2 decent teams here as well, you got a lot of the cutie Kit Kat server originals over here, um, and then you have, a lot of the OG QSL players as well on the Reapers. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's gonna be a decent matchup throughout. I guess we'll see who has the edge here.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking back on some of the older VODs, just looking back to see who's been in this for long, because I only just got introduced to the QSL and
Hmm.
started casting for y'all. But I'm really excited because these are some names that I sort of recognize from last season and just think, oh, damn, these are like good people.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. There's not really any abnormal bands besides this Loki band, right?
I
You
mean,
don't it's
yeah,
you don't see it often, right? He has his place in being banned. That is definitely for sure.
yeah, that's for
Uh,
sure. I mean, I have experience going against NMR in the jungle, although I do believe he's carrying today, but crit Loki. That is not very fun. And we got the set as a first pick. Not sure where that's going, to be honest. You can play him in carry, jungle, or solo, so or even mid if you really wanted to. So, you know, pretty solid top pick, but we'll see where it goes.
yeah. I honestly think it is a great top pick here because you don't know if it's going in the carry mid, and honestly, just due to his poke, that's why he's so good. But the top two is followed by the Morgan, and you almost have to think this could be followed by not a Cthulhu, a Nike. I
Cthulhu,
was
yeah.
thinking of Cthulhu. I was going to say, oh, it's going to be followed by a Cthulhu. What do you do if you're V-Bakas? Logically, I mean, you have to think you could draft the Cthulhu, but looks like they're hovering an Achilles.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the Morgan, you can also have a double Nike ult. It almost has
Mhm.
the same effect. Although I don't know how that's gonna feel going into a set whatsoever with the slow immunity, but Achilles does work well into it due to the execute not being affected by shields, of course. I mean, and they
And
lock in the Terra here as well.
yeah,
Pretty
I
popular Guardian.
yeah, pretty popular Guardian. I definitely agree with this. Pick Terra, at least in my mind, the best Guardian. Um, just right now,
Uh,
currently, due to her ultimate and the major damage she's able to provide, uh, she may not. I mean, at least open. I mean, Geb Yamoja obviously could be seen as
yeah.
better, but I feel like that's just the top three. Yamoja is just always the best one, and she always has been for since her release. Mm.
Yeah, Moja's always a really strong pick for sure, especially you could possibly throw in a Stone of Foul here and there, and obviously with that item being absolutely busted as it is, you get the 18% mitigation for free, especially
Yeah,
Emoja where you're actually auto attacking, it's not like you're just
yeah.
waiting for abilities. So, pretty solid pick all around. I mean, you have although she was banned, obviously you do have the RDO banned as well and the
Mhm.
Geb. So 3 Guardians banned. I just realized that on the side
Yeah,
of V-Bakas.
and
With the Uller ban as well.
yeah. This is obviously, I feel like a good idea with Heimdall being picked. Heimdall is a really hard time into Oler. I mean, if you're trying to escape in the Bifrost, he just axe stuns you. What are you gonna do? So I feel like it's a good ban, especially with this, just against Heimdall. Heimdall is he struggles with gods like Oler and Chiron just because of the free CC they can get. So eliminating one of the more popular ones, and then this Hoi both really good because again he is just a free stun in his kit.
Yeah, as well as
So
the Tsukiyomi band on the side of
yeah,
Reapers. Tsukiyomi is just absolutely busted right now. You get to late game, even if you're down. I watched a Level 17 Tsukiyomi solo a level 20 mage by himself with his ult, and I honestly believe that's just ridiculous. The scaling on that ability is so broken. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a great pick to get rid of, especially if you don't want anyone to specifically hard carry.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's definitely a good pick, and I really well not pick, but man, I really like it, and I also like this response pick from the support, the Ganesha. Ganesh, he's always been in a weird place in the
Presenting
meta,
new
especially
barriers to our
lately. He's
success.
never really been prominent. He's not been in the top five. That's for certain. I mean, he's
Yeah, not
you
since season
don't
7.
not in season seven, and certainly not recently in season eight because you have the Terra Geb Yamoja and then Kepri. That is the top five. So Ganesh always just falling right outside of that lately. So I
Yeah,
definitely
Ganesh.
like this pick.
Yeah, Ganesh always super consistent though. I mean, if you use Ganesh abilities correctly, you can mess up a lot of stuff, especially the
Hmm.
enemy team when doing objectives. Those Dharmic pillars just do a crazy amount of damage for a Guardian.
Yeah,
Um,
they
I
really do.
Yeah, and I always have fun running Ganesh full damage, and it's a great thing when your Dharmic pillars ticks for 600, and
Yeah,
you ruin their team. So
yeah, just ruin their team. Yeah,
yeah, Ganesh a real strong pick here. The only thing I am concerned about is it does limit their options. Yes, it does. Okay, so there's a Scylla. I'm assuming they're gonna have to get something with jumps or dash to try and avoid those Dharmic
yeah,
pillars. The only thing I could say here that would be great if they haven't picked their jungler already. I'm assuming Morgan is the mid laner. Would be in a Wheelix.
yeah.
Um, okay, or never mind then. All right,
I'm a
there's the Daji. So only
monster!
one jump on the enemy team. So the Wheelix should
You
not
have
be
yet to see the meaning
uh,
of
that
cruel!
prioritized here, but
Yeah.
we will see.
Yeah, Set's teleport just makes her insanely strong for him.
Yeah.
He's also able to escape the Dharmic pillars, but that is a Set ADC now. That is what we know.
Yes. Correct.
That's I thought I thought he'd be going into the mid lane personally, especially with Oleron being as strong as he is right now with Sona Fall and going unbanned. So maybe they thought, hey, we can, but it's not the greatest pick, and a pick that I really really like here within that Kamatots.
Yeah.
Um,
Darkness
Camazotz is
falls
a great
upon
pick.
you.
it's just he feels really nice.
Yeah, Kemzot's is just a really stompy god in your face, but the only issue I think that he has going into set is that Kemzot's slow is so just
Mhm.
like key to his kit because he has no hard CC to begin with.
Yeah.
And someone like Set trying to gank him is going to be very hard. Someone like Daji fighting him is going to be very hard with his mitigation and his 2. Even the Scylla, her dash is going to be way longer than Kamazot's jump. So I'm curious to see how he does here, to be honest with you. He just got to get ahead early and steamroll from there, but if that doesn't happen, I think it's going to struggle later into the game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it almost has to, just not has to, but it almost will struggle. Um, Although a definite high point is his ultimate because it makes it really hard for Achilles to do things and Set if he has his teleport down. But going into these drafts, looking at it, who do you favor in the mid 3v3? Because
Honestly, in the mid 3v3, I'm probably going to favor uh you know what? That's actually a tough call. I'm actually probably going to favor V-Bakas here just due to the fact that Morrigan is such a high pressure mid lane god compared to Scylla. Scylla takes time to
mm,
pick up a little bit. She has to get items online first. Her scaling is unbelievable, but just her level 1 clear is not very good. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna take the Camazotz also with his ranged abilities. I'm gonna take the Kama and the Morgan for sure. Morgan should hard out clear Scylla, and the Kama should definitely have more poke ability than the Daji. So especially if he fights early with his passive stack from speed buff, some sustainability up there. So I do favor that. So I guess Reaper's definitely got to be careful.
yeah, they definitely do. And in these team fights, it seems as if Reapers has somewhat of an advantage. It's always hard team fighting against the Morgan. That is always going to be a fact because she's just a team fighty god. She can turn into double Camazots, double
Mhm.
Nike, or they can get a dodgy of their own. So it makes it really, really hard.
Yeah,
Uh,
I honestly think that the Reapers have a way better team fight comp, excluding the Morgan, of course. But I mean, if you look at the side of V-Bakas, they have very, very targeted ults. besides Ganesha Nike. But it is still going to be very difficult to dive their backline, especially when you have a Terra ult ticking on you for healing and doing damage as well.
Mhm.
It kind of makes a very large difference. And plus the Daji just forcing beads on cooldown. Like there's, you have no ability to get out of that. You get pulled, you usually just die at that point. So, you know,
Yeah.
we'll just have to see how it goes and how they play together.
Yeah. As we're in game here, there's interesting builds. Normally I don't like saying that. But there's the Mannequin Scepter coming out from the Daji, which is not something we've seen all too much lately in the Pro League. Today we saw layers running on Erlang Shen. And I feel like it's really one of the only gods it feels nice with. How do you feel about it on this Daji?
Personally, I love Mannequin Scepter on Daji, and that just right away that tells me that Bad News Bears is just gonna want to hard carry this game as soon as he gets to 20. A little bit of
Mhm.
poke damage from the Ganesh there. But like since Mannequin is physical, you know, is physical damage, building it on physical gods, like people always do Sylvanas and stuff like that, but building it on Daji really has no counter effects and a gank here.
Yeah, Achilles falling low, getting the healing from his ability, just dodging and weaving. Nike trying to get the kill, and it is going to be dropped from V-Bakas. A
Wow.
success. Yeah, just a great counter gank from Bad News Bears. Even though he just kind of walked, that is all he really needed to do. Suboptimal is seeming to re-engage, but just getting some poke, doing what Achilles just does.
Yeah, the Achilles combat dodge is such a great ability, especially due to its recent buff, gaining 10 base damage at all ranks. So it's feeling pretty good, especially for Achilles, who was pretty decent in the in season 7, and then now in the early season of season 8, and now he's getting played a lot again. So it's yeah.
Yeah, beads from set used to get out of the Ganesha dash. Uh,
Mm,
Looks like we're not going to see anything off of that. Cancel that set going in, falling low, and all aggression is going to be just let
yeah.
off.
It's a slight I guess it's pretty uncommon to see the shell um in the support role nowadays. I mean, a lot of times you're seeing med with its great heal early game, especially with the mana, and especially for someone like say ADC who's just kind of spamming abilities to clear, has no autos. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, so am I. It's really, really interesting. And we also just aren't going to see a medication cloak in these first items as Metamorphic did choose to pick up the beads.
Yeah, I mean, in their comp, I'm honestly not surprised. Metaphoric grabbed the beach just due to the fact that you have so much CC on the enemy team. You have Scylla crippled, Terra root. You have Achilles stun, Daji pull. Like the Daji is probably going to be the main target here. Out of the fact of using those beads, I feel like you see supports grab them a lot when you see a Fenrir or Daji. So, uh, we'll see how that plays out later in the game if a support relic might have done better or not.
Yeah, honestly, it's all right. I think if I was Metaphoric, I also would have gotten the beads because this Daji and Terra just makes my life so much harder. And it seems if NMR is poking out, doing what a set does best, uh, and looks like look they're just jogging, having a good
Yeah.
time.
Well, just taking a look at the XP here, you can see that it's a small lead for V-Bakas in the duo lane, but a lead for suboptimal in the solo lane on the side of Reapers. There's also a little bit of an XP lead in the mid lane as well in favor of Reapers. So this Scylla getting online early is relatively key. So him getting as much farm as possible is a must.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Honestly, it is very, very big, but we're seeing all these first items picked up, or at least the tier twos. That is both Jotuns for the jungler, Soul Gem for the Scylla, which is an interesting first item. You almost see it in the second, third item slot. Uh,
Yeah, I'm not really
what is your
sure.
opinion on it?
Honestly, especially on a Scylla, I'm not a huge fan of it. Just considering that Soul Gem passive isn't very useful to you until a bit later in the game, just due to the fact that it doesn't have much power. I believe it's like right around 90 power, maybe even less.
Yeah.
And obviously after being nerfed, I really don't even think it's viable as a first item anymore. You just don't do that much damage. I believe it's only a 15%. It's 80 magical power and a 15% of your total magical power. But at this point in the game,
Yeah.
he really doesn't have much. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'd honestly even think you're better off going a Chronos Pendant, or even like into Flat Pen. Typically, I've been seeing Deso into Soul Gem rather than Soul Gem into anything else. So I don't know. We'll see if they pick on this Scylla early for it. If not, it's a loss for them. But everything else seems pretty standard.
Yeah, it really does. NMR picking up the tier 2 of what almost seems to be Transcendence.
Yeah, Morning Star,
Miss,
for sure, yeah.
yeah, Charged Morningstar and Mystical Mail being picked up from both soul laners. An item that's I've been seeing a lot more of lately is this Doom Orb, especially on these immobile mages, or quote unquote immobile. As the Morgan does choose to pick it up in his.
Yeah, I mean, Doomor being the highest power item in the game now, due to the nerf from a couple patches ago to on Rod of Tahuti, it's a great item now. I mean, I remember when Coin was the first item started, but if you look at the stats, Doom Orb has higher magical power than Charon's Coin does. Charon's Coin, I believe, is 70 power,
70.
and yeah,
Yeah.
T2's Doom Orb, I believe, is either 75 or 80. So it's a pretty large disparity. Oh,
Yeah, Izzy
and
is
great.
getting a kill. A big option for a fight. Dharmic Pillars is put down. Set is here, and he's ready to fight. But the sight of Heimdall makes him want to break off.
And we're frozen.
Yeah, good old stasis.
Okay, well, I mean, in that fight there, we had the Morrigan ult, we had Kama ults, we had Set ult proccing at the moment while he's jogging in place. It's a pretty solid rotation coming in from the duo lane. And the Daji getting picked early is very important. Oh, okay, and then there's the
Yeah,
Heimdall ult coming in,
just
and it's looking like a
just
kill right
ulting.
here.
Yeah, there
Oh,
goes the real Mr.
Zilla
Pie.
and a solo kill in the in the solo lane. Okay. Wow, okay, so we got a
That's
lot going on over here.
yeah. Conva did drop his ult for that.
Yes, he
At least
did.
from what it seems. It doesn't. If you're Reapers, that does not feel nice. Um,
Yeah, especially early, especially someone like Achilles who you want to just power early in the early game and try and get as ahead as possible because late he just starts to kind of fall off a little bit. I mean, especially like I'd say his only saving grace here is getting the warding sigil and getting that upgraded infused sigil with the 500 damage AOE effect around him. So uh, it doesn't feel very good, especially with the Morgan getting 2 kills there. And, once she gets online, she's just one-shotting everybody. And an invade on the purple buff here.
yeah, it is successful for NMR, and it looks like they're just gonna break off the aggression and say, "Hey, we got the invade. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go to wave and then back." This is a real good play and great discipline from NMR.
Yeah, sure, for sure. I 100% agree. But you still have a decent, right around 1,000 gold lead for V-Bakas. Honestly, not as much as I thought it would be. It seems like the Reapers are farming a bit better than them as, you could, let's see here. You can see the Scylla and the Achilles are still somewhat close to their opposing counterparts, even though they both got kills.
Yeah, lessons just tick before Izzy, so
Yeah.
it's not what I was expecting. And Conva with a bit of an interesting pickup, at least at tier 2. Well, not tier 2, at second item. And that is the tier 1 of the Arthurian items tree.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously going to go into a Pridwin here. Having just the double shields is absolutely great. Okay, and
Oh,
there's a kill on NMR or on Shmeepo in the duo lane by MMR.
yeah.
Oh, I'm a monster.
Yeah,
Dharmic
I'm a
Pillars.
monster use Diamond Pillars, and Rigel does get the kill, but the Daji looking for something, dashing into her tier 2, but the Kamazox is low, suboptimal returning the favor, and there goes bad news, not bad news bears, Izzy up into that ultimate and MMR picking up the return kill. There's a good, what, 4 kills, 3 kills there?
3 for 1 right there. That is a great way to get them back into the game, especially with that kill over in the dual lane on Shmeepo by NMR and oh wait, not Lesson, sorry, and the real Mr. Pi. And just like that, they've evened it up and even take a slight advantage in gold by around 500. So as the later these levels get on, the more kills mean. Early there's always that first blood, but like the first couple deaths really not that big a deal. You can always come back from that. But as you get into these double-digit levels and even higher up, these kills mean so much more.
Yeah, good beats from NMR. Successful real Mr. Pi taking the kill. Shmeepo falls once again, and Metaphoric is having to retreat under that tier 2 tower. That's
Yeah, I mean he does spawn infinite clones.
yeah.
Metaphoric stepping up to this.
Yeah.
And there comes Izzy around the corner on the Morgan. Morgan is always so scary. Just hearing that noise from her one is always something to be very concerned about, especially when you don't know where she is.
Yeah, I agree. Fully stack transfer NMR is going to give him power spike. But it's just after those kills, right? The game seems to mellow out every single time. I mean, after V-Bakas got the 4 kills, the 3 kills, just right away into a very, very chill time. Waiting for the next fight very methodically, and then Reapers doing the same thing, just creating pressure.
Yeah. Something I just noticed is that Metaphoric actually went the Benevolence to try and get Shmeepo ahead as much as possible. I do respect that, but Shmeepo is now 3 levels
Yeah.
down and getting killed twice. So I honestly, if he doesn't get a rotation soon from the jungle or even from Morgan to kill this set, I don't know how he's gonna get back into this game with Set's ability to just 1v1 anybody in the game. Especially with his beads up, as you saw in that last fight with the Heimdall ult getting beads and Set just kind of running him down. It makes it a bit hard even with your Heim teleport. So, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and he is level 12 now, so he does have that second relic advantage. Often when we're talking about laning phases, there's 2 big spikes of power, and that's level 5 and level 12. This is because that's when they get their ultimate and their second relic. The 2 most important things in Smite when we're talking about levels.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And honestly, you can even throw level 20 into there with the starter
Mm-hmm.
items being however good that they are right now. But yeah, you can also see, look at the level difference. You have a lead by suboptimal in the solo lane on the Nike. Uh, the junglers looking the same, which is quite surprising to me that they're not running this game considering how strong jungle items are. Um, but you also have Lessons with a slight lead over Izzy in the mid lane. And you also have the real Mr. Pi with a lead over Metaphoric. So, and then obviously you have the duo lane difference in gold and XP. So, you know, we'll see what happens as the game continues on and these late game comps start to really, come together.
Yeah, it really seems like Reapers have done a great job of just quietly getting this lead. They haven't had any big team fights besides that one, and a few kills on Shmeepo makes it really, really big. Um, it's just very, very quiet. That's honestly not what I expected from a set. A set is very, very team fight heavy as Terra Ultimate is used, not Terra, Nike Ultimate is used, and Conva just gets that kill on Bad News Bears. As there is the Terra, the real Mr. Pi is here rotating in, Camazot's jumping out, and it seems as if that's going to be it, getting that gank on Bad News. Well, getting that kill on the ganking Bad News Bears does feel really nice for V-Bakas.
Yeah, it always feels good to kill the jungler, especially someone as scary as Daji. When Daji gets ahead, it's an unbelievably scary thing because she can jump on you, auto cancel with her one, and just 2 you to finish you off, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it feels really good. Looking at these builds, there's nothing too out of the ordinary besides the Berserker shield coming out of suboptimal. What's your
Yeah.
opinion on it?
Um. Honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It does give you pen power and the passive of Berserk, which is a pretty decent power spike for him, especially someone like Achilles where he can get decently low and still do a ton of damage. I guess it just kind of gives him the ability to trade, although I don't know how it's going to fare too well into the Nike considering her one does disarm. But we'll see when he's most likely dabbing the backline in the back and trying to trade with the, trying to trade with the mage and the ADC and possibly even the jungler. So.
Yeah, Charon's Quinn is picked up and finished from lessons. That's you're not really buying it anymore for anything but the pen, and Heimdall use the return beads, and that is the power of Heimdall. He just goes ahead and he says, "Hey, I'm going to leave," and well, someone who tried to leave but had to go through the gray screen is suboptimal, but NMR is just not doing well. He's trying to escape, and he does teleport out of there. But here is Izzy getting stunned, and MMR is shut down. Well, not quite, but
Yeah, getting a kill on NMR there is actually huge. Well, we also missed a kill in the solo lane on suboptimal. The Camazotz came over and cleaned that up a bit, and it allows the Nike to actually get into her full build. She got the kill as well. She has the full Pridwin. I'm assuming she's going into a Bulwark here, or possibly even a Pestilence, just due to the set and Terra healing, and even Achilles as well.
yeah, Scylla is silenced out, and beads are used.
The
Uh,
Dashi going in.
yeah, so that's gonna feel really, really nice for V-Bakas. They just,
Yeah, for
they don't have to worry about Scylla beads. Now she just has to use her ult, and once you get that down, it's easy to chase. It's a slight movement speed increase. So if you're a Camazotz, you're able to chase it really easily. So Lessons gonna play real safe here.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you're looking at the player damage here. It's actually kind of crazy considering the Morrigan only has 2,900. That's actually quite surprising for me considering 3-1. It's just a bit I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just a bit confusing to me.
she's really came in there and finished off kills or gotten kills on the squishier targets like NMR and Lessons earlier into the game. So that's only hundreds of damage she has to do, and especially with Rigel, who is 5k damage, it seems as if he did most of it. Uh,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'm also looking at Bad News Bears, and I'm just looking at the damage here, and it shows that he's really been targeted in this game.
mhm.
It's been shut down a decent amount as they pulled the Gold Fury here.
Yeah, they pull the
And the
Gold
teleport
Fury.
secure. Oh, and
Yeah,
they get another kill on suboptimal in the solo lane. They're really focusing him down. They don't want to deal with that Achilles mid game. Um, but oh, there we go. Okay,
yeah,
and
and
oh
Scylla
my gosh.
is off the mark, but they do get that secure. Heimdall has to beads and Bifrost. Absolutely huge. They have to disengage. Great play by the Reapers there.
Yeah, correct. Honestly, that almost got a little bit nerve-wracking considering that they pulled the Gold Fury. They dropped Gold Fury as Scylla ulted when she could have secured it. So it was a bit unfortunate in that regard, but they still did end up securing it. So, uh, they got Nike ult as well, Heim beads. So it was a win for them for sure. No deaths along the road, just the suboptimal kill in right lane. But other than that, and it's looking like V-Bakas are pulling Pyro here as a return objective. Um, Obviously pretty standard play here.
Yeah.
Uh, just try and cancel out as much as that Gold Fury as you possibly can. The Morgan hitting level 17 at 17 minutes. So he is really farming up a storm right now. The only one even close is NMR, and NMR has just kind of been running duo. Unfortunately enough for the Heimdall. The one person I am really concerned about though is that Daji on the side of
Yeah.
Reaper. Daji seems to be really falling behind, and it seems like it's getting to the point where farming is becoming somewhat of an issue. And Daji being a super late game god, having the ability to one shot, I just want to see how this is going to continue.
Yeah, good discipline by Anamar there, just making sure, hey, I know there's two people following me. He's not going to go for his purple, but he's going to return there as Shmeepo and Metaphoric do look towards it, and he's going to try and poke it out and take it for himself. But Shmeepo is able to take it.
Yeah, I like the call from Metaphoric to kind of just stay by the Heim and the beads come out from NMR, our variety. All right.
Yeah, Ridge Rigel does go in there, not getting much, forcing his ult was forced out. Dharmic
Dharmic
Pillars
Pillars
is
dash.
used. Great CC from the side of V-Bakas. Ridge Rigel picking up another kill there. And NMR with his ult has just kind of been zoned out in this team fight. Izzy
Yeah.
is doing a great job just in the base Morgan 4 without that changeling ultimate. But there is the ultimate from NMR, and he is not looking good. He is running under his tier 2 as the Nike ult does come out from the Morgan, and it is just suboptimal, trying to clean up this tier 2, but they can't take it as that tier 1 is still up.
Yeah, I was about to say that Ganesh has Beads Aegis. Daji's running backwards. Okay. Yeah. So Ganesh has a Beads Aegis, which I am quite surprised about considering the survivability of Ganesh with Ganesh's own self peel. Uh, his dash, his silence, and even his ult, which is slow and does a lot of damage. Um, I'm not really sure who he's Aegising for, but I mean, possibly just a Daji Scylla combo is the only thing I can think of. But I feel like grabbing the beads was enough. But I think this might be a little too greedy, honestly. And in those team fights, it might show. But yeah, getting those beads out of NMR was huge. That was
Yeah.
that was the only reason I think that they even fought that, considering that even though he had his ult, there was no way they were not fighting that um, unless he didn't have beads there. So. Great pick. I guess great play by V-Bakas, and that Morgan
Yeah.
CC is really starting to hit. So
Yeah. Now level 18. It does feel really good, just going into this. And a bit of a later Chronos pendant for coming out of lessons. What third item? It's interesting.
yeah, see like that's what I was saying before. Something like Soul Gem. Even if you're gonna go, I mean, Karen's Coin not being meta to go first item anymore, I would still say that Chronos Pendant is quite viable considering the cooldown it gives you, and technically it gives you 30% along with its passive since it's 1 second every 1 second cooldown on all abilities every 10 seconds, which is technically 10%. So that does give you a large amount of cooldown right at the beginning, as well as 100 power and 20 MP5 if I'm correct. Um, but getting it now, I just believe that it's a little bit wasted because a lot of the early game that you need on Scylla is gone by. So at this point, you kind of want to start getting your high power items, your pen items online. So I'm kind of concerned. I just want to see how this build plays out for the rest of his. I'm assuming it's gonna be quite standard with something like a Ratatouille and a Soul Reaver. But I feel like it could have made his early game a lot better with that Chronos Pendant being early.
Yeah, that's it's just interesting. you
Yeah,
know,
I don't, to say the least.
yeah, to say the least. It can work out. It's not a bad item. It's just I don't really like to pick up the placement. I feel like if you switched Soul Gem and Chronos, the build would just feel a lot better.
I agree with you there 100%. Although I am looking at the Daji build, Daji is around a item or a half item behind at the very minimum. And I'm looking at this early serrated. This really kind of dumps on this damage as they're pulling Fire Giant right now. And obviously, as you can see here, Conva has discovered that, and the Nike ult comes out, trying to delay as much as possible.
Yeah, that's
China with
they.
his team, Farming Pillars come out as well.
Yeah, Dharmic Pillars Reapers do destroy the Fire Giant Ridge Rigel does get a double on Real Mr. Pie and Lessons. Dagio coming out, waiting for that Bad News Bears to come down. Not Real Mr. Pie, but Bad News Bears does fall to Ridge Rigel as he gets a triple kill. NMR and Suboptimal with Fire Giant around their belts has to escape.
Yeah, and honestly, right there, that's not worth it all for Reapers. Taking the Fire Giant is always a win for sure, but when you sacrifice 3 people for it and possibly a Phoenix here, it's definitely a huge loss for them. I mean, Phoenix being Phoenix and Towers being extreme amounts of golden XP for them. This kind of just solidifies their lead, as you can see here with both Camazotz and Morgan hitting 20. It makes it a bit harder, especially for this Daji to come back in the game.
Yeah, sitting at level 15, it just feels real rough. NMR is only a level ahead of Shmeepo. Shmeepo going into Wind Demon. Now, crit doesn't really feel good on Heimdall, especially
Ooh, I'm
when
gonna have to disagree with you there, sir.
well, it feels all right with his passive. Um, you can it still hits, certainly. That's no doubt about it. But going a more pen focused build can feel just better, at least in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in some circumstances for sure, but when you're so ahead, even like among like the tanks, it does make it feel really good to go an item, especially like Wind Demon, which gives you pen, attack speed, crit chance, and extra stats along top of it with its
Yeah,
passive. But I mean, critting on Heim, just because his auto scales so well and has one of the, I think he does have the highest base auto attack damage for hunters. Um, even with his passive, the 75, what is it, 75% of the 100% crit, he still chunks. He's still critting for around 700, 800 damage. Um, and even versus Spectral, Spectral being nerfed again, from 60 to 50%, it does make it feel a bit better. And high autos being cleaves, it makes it a bit easier to hit. Just bigger autos in general. So, I think he's gonna do big damage as long as he doesn't get jumped on.
yeah. I feel like that's sort of the problem. I feel like the Wind Demon pickup a great pickup. The items kind of just busted.
Yeah,
It
it has 80% crit.
yeah, it's you
And those
should
are yeah, those are words from
always be
Shmeepo
going it.
himself. Those
Yeah,
are words from Shmeepo himself. That item has
yeah,
80% crit. So
yeah.
I'm gonna make fun of him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at times it feels like it. The attack speed increase. I mean, it's a great pickup. I feel like Shmipo goes into this Deathbringer last item just because of his build. But NMR going a bit of a not. I don't know what's better for set ADC because I don't see it played often. But the Bluestone Brooch. That's how do you feel about it?
Honestly, Bluestone Brooch on set is actually pretty good considering that you really don't need Corrupted due to set's passive. You get a ton of attack speed from set's passive, and in his ult, it stacks infinitely, right? So you can get to 2.5 attack speed on set, autoing for, 400 in auto. So Bluestone Brooch is pretty good considering what the it does percent health and it also does a portion of your physical power. And NMR going full power here, of course, it's going to be a great item for the pickup. I just think possibly something like a Boombas could have been there to replace it, or even a Hidden Blade. I've seen a lot of set ADCs go Mannequin Scepter so they can farm out the jungle and create a lead. Um, but yeah, Bluestone is also a great option for any assassin ADC.
Yeah, I don't want to rag on the Scylla too much, but what is your opinion on Spirit of Magus and Scylla? I mean, it's
I don't think it's that bad. I just don't think she's gonna hit that hard on tanks due to her only having 20% percent pen. And as we all know at this point in time, 20% percent pen is really not enough to to shred down these tanks. Tanks OP. Uh,
yeah,
especially Scylla where she's just gonna try and burst. It seems like she's gonna be trying to target squishies here as Izzy falls to
yeah.
NMR. NMR does burn bees and ult. Uh,
As, I
wow,
mean,
but
if you're NMR, that feels pretty good for building burning beats and all. It's not the greatest, but with Izzy falling, Ridgel says, "Hey, I'm gonna take your lives," and trying to dive that Phoenix, but he burns beats himself. A shutdown from NMR, but Shmeepo is on a killing spree, killing NMR. It's just lessened, and bad news bears. The Scylla getting pressured out the Heimdall, having to be careful. The bad news bears as he falls. There's the triple. The Phoenix is almost definitely gonna fall here.
yeah, and like I said before, Shmeepo is really going to be pumping out that damage as soon as he gets that dominance online, and with that Wind Demon, that item crits way more than 20%, and he gains attack speed for that as well, which is usually Heim's weak point, is his slightly slow attack speed comparatively to other hunters. So, as you can see here, they get the left Phoenix, or the right Phoenix from side of Reapers, and they're just kind of running it down mid and trying to force these Phoenixes out, but it looks like Suboptimal and Mr. Pie have come back up to try and defend this, and, Metaphoric looking kind of low here. Out comes this Island, and the Ganesh ult, there's the Achilles. Big damage from the
Huge
Terra ult.
Kiera ult as Heimdall has to run away. Conva being careful, getting stunned out by the real Mr. Pie.
Okay,
There's the
Sunder comes in as
Dharmic
well.
Pillars, the Sunder going out. Beads from Conva, and
Here's Izzy.
Izzy going in, having to use beads. just suboptimal chasing and chasing. He's now among.
Going.
Oh, and Terra, oh, the double shield, absolutely huge if you're Izzy, but NMR is here, and Ridge Ridgel and him are having a bit of a battle,
Wow.
but Ridge Ridgel gets
Wow.
the kill.
I have totally underestimated the Camazot's damage there. I thought when NMR had come in with the 4 clones and it hit him with the 1, it would have one-shot, but the 2 just healed so much. And with the lack of anti-healing on the side of Reapers, it does make it really hard to trade with Camazots, especially someone as bursty as him. Just his ability to heal from his pools, his 3, massive healing. Bumba's Spear, massive healing on camps, and you have his 2, of course, his staple ability, his kit. Um, I do think if they want to contest with this Camazotz, they're gonna need to have some anti-heal, which I don't see at all on
Yeah.
their side. So it's gonna be a bit difficult. I mean, on the side of V-Bakas, you have a brawlers and you have a divine, so I think they got their anti-heal pretty decently covered.
As they just get Fire Giant for free. I mean, there was zero contestation from the Reapers. Uh, Being 13 kills behind and 11k gold, do you think they could have really contested?
No, not a shot. The only way that they could even contest it is, I mean, it would have to be NMR, and he would have to go in and also get a kill. That would be the only way that could possibly contest it. Scylla would just die, but yeah. So a set would be the only way, and it'd only be worth if you can get a kill or force them off Fire Giant to delay a little bit longer. But at this point, it's just looking like these Phoenix Sieges are going to be pretty easy. Um, it's 5 up on each side. You have all ultimates, and there's the Nike ult coming in as
Yeah.
well. Morgan is in there. There's the
Yeah,
Terra
there's
ult
the
on his
Terra
pillars. I'm a
ult.
monster. Okay, and there's the counter Nike ult as well as Pal Lao from Daji. Here's
Yeah.
Camazotz driving the Scylla, and the Scylla's dead.
That's just it's somewhat disrespectful, man. I mean, Izzy getting the kill on Bad News Bears, and well, Suboptimal does get Shmeepo. So a bit of a silver lining NMR backing because he was forced out in the lane, triple from Ridge Ridgel, and it
Yeah,
seems that this is gonna be game. I mean, what can MMR do in 30 minutes?
and there's the Karmic
V-Bakas,
pillars. That's
yeah, they take
instant
game one.
damage. Yep, that's free damage. Yeah, wow. So honestly, the set ADC didn't pan out as I thought it would. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it was unfortunate that the Daji never really got online. They kind of just focused her down a crazy amount. You have a Rigid Rigel kind of going going off to say the least. 11 and 2, as well as you have Metaphoric with a 0, 0, and 19, and just staying alive as support is unbelievable for you. So, uh, you know, gr- you know, good game so far, but a great job from V-Bakas to close that one out.
Yeah, that they turned it around. They had control early, and then it just seemed all Reapers for that mid game until there was just that one team fight, right, where
Hmm.
took advantage of it on that Fire Giant, and they said, "Well, now that we have 3 kills, we're gonna go take down your Phoenix," and that's what really put them so far ahead.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do not like the Scylla build whatsoever. Uh, it's uh, it's very unusual, and it did not seem like the Scylla did much damage. Okay, no, she did not. Um, Yeah, I just think Scylla needs to go, flat pen into power and just scale from there. The items were just a little bit out of order, and I just felt like the power spikes were not where they should be, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was just great play all around from V-Bakas, and just forcing out the jungler and suboptimal, and just kind of shoving them into the ground. It makes it very hard for NMR, Mr. Pi, and Lessons to really do anything about it.
Yeah, that game felt quite rough. Let's go ahead and if the production is ready, let's go take it to a quick intermission so we can take a break for game 2. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the QSL. This is our first majors match, our second game in the majors. At
Winning
least
or
for this
losing doesn't
game, it is
matter.
still Panda Bear
Heroes
Ash, and
tell
it's
the story
still
when they
Adzi.
win.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing good, man. Quick intermission, little water break, and now we're
hmm
back to game two. And I guess we had already missed most of the bans here, unfortunately. But as you can see, the Morgan has been banned out, the Camazotz has been banned out, Heimdall. Um, three main picks for the side of V-Bakas.
Yeah, I feel like that's good because the Morgan and Camazotz really presented a huge problem. So getting them on the first phase is really feels really good. As we do see the Oleron being picked. Now I mentioned it came game one, saying it's a great pick. I love it.
Warriors to
Um,
battle!
and especially with Sunfall, it feels real nice. So pairing it up with the set is gonna feel
Victory
nice.
shall be my
As
shield.
Tsukiyomi and Morgan Le Fay are locked in on the Reaper's side.
The moon will
Yeah,
purify
I mean
this
Morgan Le Fay
land!
seeing a huge fall off after she had
Face
been
the
nerfed.
wrath of a sorceress
From being the
scorned.
best god in the game by far to I would say somewhere around A plus range,
You
possibly
are
pushing into S.
finished!
It just
Olorum.
depends on how well you play the game. But we do see the Ravana here from Rigid Rigel and the Tsukiyomi picked by Bad News Bear, someone that can actually play from behind decently well. So we'll see how that pans out for him. But Izzy on set mid and Schmeeple on the Oleron
Yes,
ADC.
yes, that
Stone of
will do.
Foul, broken
Take
item.
pleasure in the
Yeah, woo! I love Stone to Fall,
So
baby.
we are now referring to Shmeepo as Stonefal abuser. Um, that is what we will call him for the rest of the set. And I will stand by it. Um, but no, Oleron being a great pick. A lot of mistakes though that people do make when playing mage auto attack gods is they build Stonefal way too early. I don't know if you've ever seen that. People build a second item, even third item, I would say. But like someone like Oleron, where you're very dependent on the amount of power you have to get the crits, I feel like you kind of need to build it a little bit later, just because you kind of have to get your damage online. Because if you fall behind on Stone of Foul, you don't trade with anybody. You might have a little bit more mitigation, but they just out damage you 100%.
Yeah, mitigations don't matter when they're out damaging you by far. I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure.
just being an ADC main, I've messed around with Oleron builds, and I feel like Son of Fall feels really nice in that fourth item slot because you should
Yeah.
have enough power. Um, you should already have one attack speed item by that time, at least with my builds.
Oh
Or
yeah.
going into it at least by fifth item. So either you should have one or two depending on your role. If you're going for a more facilitator role, then obviously you want a singular attack speed item. But it feels really nice in that fourth item slot. And I think Shmeepo should build it there, but Stone of Fall being so broken, and excuse me, if you're I mean, if you're ahead or even, it doesn't feel bad to build in that second item slot, but it doesn't necessarily feel great.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree with you sometimes, depending on how far ahead you are, it will feel pretty nice. But on the all around, just feel like specifically, like someone like Soul, maybe I would agree with you there, as well as the Chronos with their attack stims and the Soul's
Mm.
increase in power. But I just feel like the all around, you have to get Typhons, Hekate, and Telkines online before you get the Stone of Foul. Otherwise, personally, I just feel like you don't really do much. I'm just wondering whether we're going to see the Death's Toll, the Gilded Arrow, or the Mannequins. That's really what I'm wondering for the start for Shmeepo here.
Yeah, in the SPL, we've seen more so of the mannequins start coming out from Oleron just because it feels really nice. It bridges that because Oleron he's an interesting god, right? His level 2 feels pretty all right, um, and it is viable to aggress on, especially with having a Sylvanas who has minor amounts of kill power in that early. Um, so you can just have some counter aggression within just your 2 and everything else. But the mannequin's hyper just makes your late, like not my late, your early game will feel insanely nice. I mean, it's your the 47 damage per tick just out there. It's insane.
Yeah, and especially for someone like Oleron. So mages, right? Mages don't get the full scaling on their auto attacks. Oleron, I believe, gets 30%. Um, uh, just due to the fact that he has 25 base and part of his passive is 5% extra scaling on auto attacks. Um, But if you look at any other mage, just due to the fact that they have a more than double soft cap on power, usually physical gods get around 100% if I'm not incorrect, and magical gods get around 20 to 25% depending on each god. So yeah, but that mannequin feels great early to farm the jungle and try and gain a lead, clear buffs extremely fast, and such. So I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. We'll see what he goes, and it is the mannequin start.
Yes, as we're heading into game right here, going that mannequin start just feels insanely nice. Um, once again, and something that you sort of mentioned the last game that is happening this game is he's going Bumba's dagger, um, instead of that blue stone in the mid lane.
Yeah, honestly, Bumba's, like I had said, during last game with NMR, Bumba's, Bumba's dagger into Bumba's spear is just a extremely highly statted item. It is very useful in any situation. You have the, 70 power, which is like the same as Erendite, 10% cooldown, same as Erendite. It's basically an Erendite with pen and minus the passive. And this is for something that's extremely cheap. Bumba's being picked up, I believe, at 600 gold at the start and upgraded for 1500. I believe it's actually the most economically powerful item in terms of straight power, with the exception of Transcendence. So yeah, I'm honestly not surprised.
Yep, me neither. It does feel really, really nice. And Rigid Rigil does pick up the Bumbas. Also, and we don't really say anything else out of the ordinary, right? Death's Toll has made more so of a rise. It says that our Gilded Arrow right now, with Leather Cowl feeling not that great.
Yeah, I mean, Leather Cowl is still obviously viable.
Yeah,
Especially just with the normal Crusher Aussie build, the double flat pen is great, and plus the auras as well. Um, yeah, as you can see, pressure here in the dual lane from the Oleron and Sylvanas, their clear is just so much better. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like the starters now are pretty varied, and I kind of like where they're at because you can use any of them.
Yeah, you really can. As this Athena falls low, metaphor is able to get that root, but not, excuse me, on the real Mr. Pie.
Yeah. The Athena's honestly a great pick, and her early game really isn't the greatest. Just due to the fact that her taunt is very, very little in terms of impact, and obviously right now it takes many autos to trade, and there's a pin on the Oleron. Um, but he's safe there. But yeah, as Athena levels up and hits level 9, where she can max her taunt, that's gonna be a scary Athena.
Yeah, it's going to be a real scary Athena. She feels really, really nice at level 9, going to that mid game, going to that mid 3v3. But, Sylvanas he only scales, right, he only scales till that mid game. And it feels like, he's never really seemed like that necessary early game god like Ganesh is, like Yamosha is. Not early game, but that late game god, like those gods are. So what do you think this matchup is as Athena does get pulled through the pillar? Olo going for the missing.
Missing one, unfortunate. I mean, personally, I feel like Sylvanas can make a pretty good impact late game, but the only issue is that it's 100% based around his ult, which is quite unfortunate for someone like a Guardian, where you really need your whole kit to matter. Like Sylvanas' root has a pretty decent airtime, so like it does make it a little hard to hit later in the game, especially on someone who's moving pretty fast, like an assassin with the speed buff, or even mages usually at this point with dashes and jumps and stuff like that. And obviously the pull being one of the hardest abilities to hit on a moving target. I mean, it takes Mulan 3 to a whole different level.
Yeah, it really does. As once again, the real Mr. Pie falls low and escapes. Finally, he's gonna back and say, my time is done. I've done all I can for. I have to back.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just poking out the Athena and just getting rid of her from as a pull comes out. Wow, forces the beads. Wow, what a pull. Sometimes just walking in a straight line against a Sylvanas is just a great way to get pulled, as the purple buff was almost invaded, secured by Bad News Bears.
Honestly, invading for Bad News Bears, even if he doesn't get it, right? The idea is that is less XP going onto the on her, as there's two people going onto the Ola run. He has to heal. Ravana ult is used as he went up, and NMR is trying to dodge and weave, and he escapes as the rest of V-Bakas does engage on this Sylvanas. He falls low, although the bad news bears is low. Reaper is not able to do much as V-Bakas is able to make their escape.
Yeah, what a great counter gank. Unfortunately, the Oleron never hit 5 due to the XP splitting between him and the support. And just got free Tsukiyomi ulted and just ran it by Athena. If Oleron hits 5, I think that fight goes 100% different. Unfortunately, he wasn't. The Ravana was also out of mana. And, you know, NMR getting away with that sliver of HP is huge because now it puts him decently ahead of the Oleron in terms of gold, although unfortunately not in XP. Oh, as he gets pulled,
Yeah, as he does get pulled and pinned, as
and
the
his
ultimate
Desert
is used
Storm,
from
and he's dead.
NMR. Yeah,
Yep, Desert
great
Fury
play.
coming out, goes right through the sanctified field of Oleron, and it's just a, it's just a great ability to counter. I mean, on her ultimate also being on a much lower cooldown than sanctified field from Oleron makes it a huge counter into that Oleron pick that everyone loves. You have beads, and then you have this ult that comes up every, I believe it's 70 seconds, I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and they leave this purple buff up, and now, okay, they are going back to it.
Yeah.
Here comes the Oleron. I don't even know if they will contest this.
They can, as it is a 90-second ultimate, and NMR is able to steal it out. But here comes Lessons into the jungle of V-Bakas, and he goes in ultimate. Oh, and Shmipo does go for that heal. He was almost surviving, but NMR says, nah, buddy.
Yeah, wow, what a great rotation from the Morgan Le Fay, and over-rotating is the Tsukiyomi as well. The Sylv seems a little bit up. In comes the set in the mid lane. Up, and here comes the Tsukiyomi ult, as well as the Athena ult going on the Sylvanas. It looks like the Sylvanas could be in trouble here, but he's good. Here comes the on-her jump, as well as the pillar. Impale goes down. He's stunned. Lessons gets the kill.
Yeah, Lessons getting a great kill there, honestly. A great play. What happened was Tsukiyomi went in on Tsukiyomi went in on Izzy and Metaphoric, and great play by the Real Master Pride, recognizing, hey, I have to ult on the target, and instead of chasing out Izzy, which would have been the worst option, they go for Metaphoric. Metaphoric has no dash, he has no movement option, so it feels much better to go on him, and they do get that kill.
Yeah, I agree with you there, especially with the lack of movement ability on Metaphoric, just due to the Sylv being the way he is, and now with his passive being reworked, getting the little cooldown seeds, it makes it a bit easier for melee gods to actually hit him as well. But yeah, just lack of movement in a comp full of movement makes it very difficult.
Yeah, once again, Shmipo just gets pinned and killed there.
Yeah, and it seems like Reapers are taking a page out of V-Baka's book here, as well as Tsukiyomi killing Kanva in the solo lane. But it seems like they're just pressuring out one person, and that's what it seems like is going to continue to happen on both sides. They're going to try and focus down one person who they believe will have the most impact and just shut them down. Oleron's been killed, what, 4 times now? Yep.
Yeah, 4 times. This is honestly just classic counter drafting. Reapers recognize, hey, they have an Ola run, so who can we draft that just has one of the best early games on her, clearly. As with a CC immune ult, I mean, it feels really nice. As he goes to pick up his purple, and MMR says, hey, I'm gonna go. But as Shmipo, with that Ring of Hecate, is able to pressure him out. NMR doesn't have much, so he just lets it go. Shmipo using that ultimate. That's a win for the Reapers, always.
I mean, yeah, I would somewhat agree with you there. Actually, no, I would disagree with you a little bit. Sanctified Field is a great ult, but the ults at level 1 is 120 seconds.
Yeah, that's why it's a win for Reapers.
Well, NMR's beads were forced as well as Athena ult. So for the next 80, 90 seconds or so, the dual lane's at a bit of a disadvantage comparatively due to Sylph having ults and the Oleron finally getting Hecate online, giving him some survivability. So I mean, we'll see. It might not make a huge impact, but slight win for V-Bakas in my opinion there.
Yeah, I definitely could see that point. You know, it's interesting as Ravana is hearing as Bad News Bears falling low. Those beads, V-Bakas are just picking out those beads every single time. My God.
Mhm.
As Izzy does rotate in here, guy didn't even notice them.
Oh, and
As
there's the boogie.
Tsukiyomi's good ultimate lessons get kill as NMR is just out as Conva gets a solo kill on suboptimal. What? Cross map
Yeah.
1v1 for 1, just right there.
Yeah, Bad News Bears, though, getting away is actually unbelievable. I can't believe that he didn't get finished right there. As they re-engage here, Rigid gets the kill on Lessons and on NMR as they try to chase down the real Mr. Pie here, but I don't know with Mr. Pie's tankiness if they will up. And there's the Silph grab that should secure the kill, and it does. And you never want to see that. Their
Yeah,
enemy jungler getting a triple kill.
yeah. Rigid getting just a triple off of that, and he's still there. He is still pressuring. That's insane.
Yeah,
I just
it's unbelievable, honestly. I mean, we saw that last game where it was a 3-0 lead initially in the form of V-Bakas, and then now it was a 4-0 lead in favor of Reapers, and how the reversals continue to go back and forth. So I feel like these games really won't be decided until the team fights start.
yeah, honestly, if I'm facing the V-Bakas, I don't want to I don't want to go I don't want to play from ahead or behind. I want to play from even because it just seems within these team fights that they either pull a miracle and win a team fight from behind or just absolutely wreck one ahead. It's kind of
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, I totally agree with you there. We can take a look here at the level difference, and although the Achilles has soloed the RDO, it seems like he's only a slight level lead here, going into the Mystical Mail, of course, one of the best items in the game. Similar in the mid lane, but a slight lead on the side of the jungler for V-Bakas. Pretty even all around the board, but we will see how the charts sway left and right as this game goes on.
Yeah, we definitely will. Suboptimal definitely powers up going into this mid game. Yeah, it just Ardio is unkillable, and that shows when they have quite a few items online. As Rigid Rigel is falling low, and he does fall. And Lessons is just trying to pressure out the dual lane of V-Bakas. Reapers get that pick, and they recognize we can't do anything else.
Yeah, consuming power, such a great ultimate, but you need to be so precise with it on Morgan Le Fay. It does a ton of damage, especially consuming those marks that you leave on people. Although I did feel that Tsukiyomi ult was a bit overkill on the Ravana, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a huge kill for Bad News Bears, puts him ahead, and the Tsukiyomi, once he gets big, he's just gonna one-shot people. So
Yeah, maybe the idea was secure, just like I will sacrifice everything I can to secure this. But it just feels all right.
yeah,
That ultimate not on too high of a not on too high of a cooldown at level at words are hard. There's a fight going on.
yeah.
Is that
And
yeah,
there's the triple
Convo.
coming out from
Yeah,
RDO as well. Yup, and the
yeah,
ult from Shmeepo here as well as the gank by Rigid Rigel. And
yeah.
here goes
That's
down goes the on her. Yup. NMR is kind of getting picked on a bit just to try and get Shmeepo ahead with that Oleron. But it seems in the dual lane or in the solo lane, my apologies, that Conva is kind of getting a bit pressured out as they pull Gold Fury over here.
Yeah, V-Bakas does get Gold Fury there. I mean, what happened in both those fights was very clear. Suboptimal got a good gank from Bad News Bears, and Shmeepo got a good gank from Rigid Ritual. It was very clear there, and it feels really nice if you're either of these teams in those isolated lanes. But V-Bakas just had a better pick there as they get the Gold Fury. Scorpion on the side of the Fire Giant isn't even down yet.
Yeah, and if you look at the bottom left at the gold per minute, you can look that Bad News Bears and Rigid are neck and neck, constantly switching at around 460 gold per minute. They're very fluctuating, so they're very close in terms of farm and experience. Uh, you know, Quite surprising though, considering that Bad News Bears has not died yet. Seems like the more efficient farming is leading to this somewhat tie in gold. As they re-gank the solo lane.
Yeah, they don't want this Achilles ahead. They said, you guys did this to us last game. You're not gonna get a mid-game Achilles.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. I mean, the Nike last game was, quite a killer. So I guess they just kind of want to shut down Convo a bit and let their let their carries and their mages do all the work. So
Yeah, it feels really nice if you're V-Bakas, not V-Bakas, Reapers, to just not have a solo laner ahead, because solo laners just do too much. They do damage and tank. It's kind of OP if you ask me.
as the Silvo comes out, it looks like there's an engagement right around Pyro here. They're kind of split. RDO's 1v2ing in the back. Just poking at this point, but it seems like it's going to be a disengage. Yeah, but as you can see also, if you look at the gold, Reapers has slightly over 1,000 gold lead, surprisingly. Or should I say not surprisingly, but they have a slightly right around 1,000 gold lead, although the XP should be very close. And it's just looking like the Honor is just hard out farming this Oleron early game, which is somewhat expected. But we'll see as this game later goes on and the Oleron starts to come online, and his ultimate coming into team fights, he'll have much larger effect.
Yeah, he really will, as V-Bakas just pulls, not V-Bakas, Reapers pulls this Pyromancer as V-Bakas hovers over. Pyro falls lows as the Reapers do secure it, and a fight breaks out among this. It's just a big circle as Izzy picks off lessons, but there goes Rigid Rigel, and it seems metaphoric as low Bad News Bears getting the kill, and Izzy falling, and it's just Kanba.
Yeah, Izzy also had burnt bees in that fight, as well as Aegis, if I'm seeing this correctly. Just not having actives up is kind of making this very difficult for him to go in, especially as a set who's very prone to CC. Oh my God, they're chasing
they're just chasing it. Like, that's just the whole time Convo was living.
Yeah, and it looks like this Oleron is just going to try and split push his way into trying to regain some of that gold, although, this will be a free Fire Giant, and Lessons just coming up is going to put a stop to that Phoenix push. But this should be a free Fire Giant if they can burn this fast enough, but it looks like it's going down kind of slow. If V-Bakas can try and get there within the next, 10-15 seconds, they could contest this. You have Rigid Rigel walking over.
No, bad news.
He does have Blink.
Bad news, no. Rigid Rigel does get the...
Okay.
Reapers do get that Fire Giant, but that's suboptimal, getting chased out. And V-Bakas, that must have been a call from Metaphor saying, look, Rigid, you do not have the power to take that fight right there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a pretty decent call considering Honor really doesn't have his items online yet. He opted to go for the Crusher Executioner, which does give him pen but not much power. And someone like Honor, taking advantage of your passive as well as just like your base autos hitting so hard as they do, you do want to try and get as much DPS online as possible, but they really were not shredding that whatsoever. So, the 2 for Fire Giant, I would still say it's a win for Reapers, but it really, really, dumbs down the amount of gold there. And so, great job from Rigid there.
Yeah, it's all right. Reapers do have the advantage still. They have 3 for Fire Giant, and I think most importantly, NMR has it. With this early game, with this earlier Fire Giant, you want your carries to have that, as opposed to later games where it feels better for your tanks and junglers to have it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It looks like they're just pressuring out to try and secure this Oni Fury. We've seen some close secures so far in this set, so we'll see how this one goes. And they're all stepping up. The Blink from Achilles.
Yeah, great Blink as Sanctified Fields. As Morgan and Le Fay falling low, and Rigid Rigel just says, hey, I'm going to take your life, as the real Mr. Pie is... And it's just great chase from V-Bakas. The Honor and NMR just able to chuck autos repeatedly as Conva isn't able to get in there, and it's just Rigid Ritual. He isn't in this fight. He pressured out Real Mr. Pie and gave V-Bakas a winning advantage. Although it just feels really nice for the Artio to get in there, just Athena ult, and there goes Conva as it's just never mind. It wasn't just anything. Bad News Bears falls. Rigid Ritual. This is insane. This fight is so split as Rigid
Oh
falls.
my god, he's
Hopefully.
burning so much time.
Yeah,
There it
okay.
is. Alright, he finally falls. Ritual re-engaging there, such a great play for them. You know, he does pick up he does pick up Bad News Bears, who was getting quite large on that Tsukiyomi, so you know, him shutting that down is quite huge for them.
Yeah, that does feel really nice. You know what happened there was just that fight got so split. V-Bakas, they necessarily can win fights very, very easily, especially if they group up as 5. And they did at the beginning of that fight. They were one solid unit, and then we just saw, Rigid Ritual go off into that left lane, and they went ahead and without Rigid Ritual and having low bars go in on an RDO, and that doesn't necessarily work as this RDO is engaging.
Yeah, the RDO was just so tanky, especially as a solo laner with that Bulwark, Mystical, Valor and Bulwark. It's just very, very hard to really do damage to him, especially with his cripples, slows, stuns, and his movement speed on his dash being increased after that last patch. The sec going in for Vegas. Wow, Sanctified Field comes out.
That feels nice as NMR does go to jump and it falls. As well, he doesn't go to jump, but he gets jumped on, and it follows as he falls, but Rigid Ritual also falls in response. Metaphoric using his ultimate. There's the Tsukiyomi all hitting on Conva and Metaphoric, as it's just Shmeepo having to fend for himself.
Yeah,
just fall! But
wow.
Conva switches the top right away when he had a confirmed kill, as he does try and switch on to Lessons,
Wow,
knowing that...
I'm so confused by that.
Yeah, he could have gotten that free execute on Real Mr. Pie, and possibly, could have held that reset, gotten a stun on Lessons, and then execute.
Yeah, Lessons just getting out of that threshold range really puts a damper on things. I mean, he could have 100% guaranteed that execute on the Real Mr. Pie. I mean, I guess prioritizing, your target is a thing here, but I mean, just the reset on the execute is so valuable on Achilles compared to other gods like Ao Kuang and Thanatos, who really only get one. So, I guess somewhat of just an unlucky circumstance.
Yeah, real unlucky there, and neat little fact I like to point out every time someone mentions Thanatos only gets one execute. It's all dependent on how low everyone is. Because, if everyone's grouped up and they're in that threshold, that Thanatos can get a 5-man execute. Is it ever going to happen? No, it will never happen. It will never happen unless a team is trying to make it happen. But it can happen.
Yeah.
And isn't it like Schrodinger's cat? Like, if it can happen, it will happen? Or something like that? I don't know.
I mean, like, yeah, but... I mean, like, I guess you could say that. But, like, the odds of it happening are so slim to the point that, like, it might as well not exist.
Yeah, like, that's the whole point of Schrodinger's cat, right?
Yeah, but, I mean, I guess I mean, I've seen 5-man Achilles ults and 5 executes. I mean, it's happened. It's definitely on highlight plays, but I've never seen a 5-man Thana execute. I think the most I've ever seen is 4. But, yeah, I mean... Also, maybe the only thing that I learned today, surprisingly, is that Achilles actually takes 5% more damage in his ult. So maybe just trying to get one execute would have been the play there. But, I mean, we'll see what happens in this fight here as, Reapers take control of the Fire Giant area.
Yeah. I really don't think, like, it was mainly suboptimal. Suboptimal took control of the Fire Giant area because he plays Artio. And
push buttons.
He pushed buttons. Artio is just like a magical King Arthur, with built-in lifesteal. No, it's dumb. I don't like it.
Yeah, and after, like, especially when Vamshroud and like all the new starters were first introduced and Artio got her buffs, it was just unstoppable. And out comes Wrath of Terra from Sylvanas, as well as the Sanctified Fields from Oleron here, as a fight engages.
Yeah, Izzy is looking low, having to burn that Aegis. Still has ultimate though, and that's a pick from V-Bakas. So feels really nice as NMR is focusing out Rigid Rigil. That is great, but that RDO is low, and that XQ is not gonna hit. But Izzy, I believe, going into that ultimate for that kill. Very interesting, and
Yeah.
that's a 2 for 1. No, a 1 for 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. Yeah, it's quite surprising, honestly, to see Izzy go into that ult. I mean, Artio just has that crazy survivability with her stun and her 3, like the slows and all the healing. So, um, maybe just securing that kill because that Artio was really bothering them is, it could be the move there, especially with his extremely low cooldowns on Izzy having 40%, even overcapped cooldown at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily horrible to overcap slightly, but it doesn't feel nice, right? That's just, especially, getting Jotuns, maybe the idea is that, like, they're gonna sell it. They're gonna sell
Yeah.
Jotuns later and just got it for that early game, so it doesn't feel too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing either a Soul Eater sell or a Jotun sell here. Definitely late game, possibly for a higher pen item or even just straight power here. I've seen a lot of Bloodforge pickups in place of Soul Eater, so we'll see how that works out. I mean, it combos decently well with set ult getting that heals per every 4 autos. Um, yeah, so we'll just see what happens. I'm curious to see these late game builds. Everything's kind of going crazy here. Reapers are getting a huge gold advantage here, though, so they will finish all of their builds a little bit sooner than V-Bakas will.
Yeah, NMR does have a bit more of an expensive power spike, but it doesn't matter with Shmeepo. Just, being an item behind. Izzy does get stunned out, and there's the Tsukiyomi. There's NMR going into that ultimate. That doesn't matter as metaphoric, going for something, but he gets picked out. Getting focused, Meepo using that sanctified fields as it just a disengage after getting that kill on Izzy. As they're pulling Fire Giant here. They say we have the advantage, we can, and they do. It's wow, that just suboptimal. Just zone them.
Yeah, 100%. Suboptimal on that RDO. RDO in general is just extremely annoying. I mean, you got cripples, stuns, slows, and she can get out pretty much whenever she wants to, especially with those extremely low cooldowns of Valor. It helps a lot.
Yeah, it feels really nice as they go in for this Phoenix Siege. I mean, they are a person up with Fire Giant. It feels really nice, but well, there was no if and or buts. Rigid Ritual falls to Bad News Bears as the Reapers seem to be posed to take game number 2. Getting that left Phoenix now. Just go. I want to hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I mean, in my opinion, quite a misplay from the Ravana there, unfortunately, going in with no solo laner, as well as no support there. Kind of just allows NMR to sit there and just auto him to death. I mean, you have a lot of peel there in the Athena as well as the Artio, and, Tsukiyomi stun and Morgan Le Fay fear. So, out comes Wrath of Terra from Metaphoric, as well being deep in the backline. I mean, just look at Suboptimal. Suboptimal is literally fighting 4 of them at once and not dying. So, that just shows you RDO being a top ban is well worth it.
Yeah, he's just playing RDO as metaphor. Does fall. NMR saying, hey, I think we have the advantage here. Rigel is looking like he's coming up pretty soon here, but that Titan's falling. I mean, Sanctified Fields is used, forcing those beads. Izzy is up now with that ultimate that can turn a fight as suboptimal falls, and it's no one else. Rigid Rigel does get the kill on Lessons, and it's NMR and Real Messiahs. Bad News Bears is still fighting. He's like, I'm not giving this up.
Yeah, they did get the first initial pick on Metaphoric, but NMR is really just dishing out way too much damage to be compared with. As we were talking about before, you can see that Shmipo had went Stone of Foul second item. Um, I just think that that is what led to his downfall in the early game. Unfortunately, he just doesn't do enough damage. Oleron is someone that you want to be able to 1v5 on, in my opinion. Grabbing like a Typhon's Fang and even the Hekate first and second item would have allowed him to progressively get stronger. But yeah, he's now 0-5, and you know, level 19 still, unfortunately, while NMR on the other hand is practically full build, getting that Deathbringer, which is a huge power spike for him.
Yeah, Shmipo does have top player damage, which
Yeah,
is
he
kind
does.
of funny. With,
I
with
mean,
zero kills, just
that's
top
Oleron's
player
thing.
damage, but it's just
Yeah, that's
Oleron
Oleron
things.
Yeah, I mean, Rigid Riddle is doing a great job of securing the kills after Shmipo has done a ton of damage, as well as Izzy going in. Unfortunately, they are kind of focusing Conva extremely hard. I'm pretty sure every Tsukiyomi ult has been on the Achilles in all of these fights, which is kind of surprising. Um, but yeah, it's looking like Reapers are finishing most of their builds here, while V-Bakas are still struggling to get their last items online. As you can see, 2 Bumba's Spears, 2 the Sundering Axe, Bumba's Spear, Gemma Focus Sentinels, and Death's Embrace on the side of Reapers. They have full build pretty much. Oh, is that Heroes X? Oh,
Yeah,
it is Heroes X. Wow.
yeah.
All right.
There's heroes.
Even more peel for the carries. Uh, yeah, thank you for the correction, Neptune. Um, I don't
Yeah,
build that item because, you know, Vamp Shot OP. No,
yeah.
Vamp Shot OP. Um,
I
but
mean,
yeah, I mean,
nobody needs a team.
yeah, I mean, these
Yeah,
Phoenix Sieges are going to be
yeah.
relatively easy at this point. It's just looking like they're, I mean, V-Bakas is just so split. Out comes the Sanctified Fields. This is going to be where they have to turn the fight here, but it looks like it's a full disengage. While the Tsukiyomi's looking quite low. Uh, and
Yeah.
does get picked. While the carries do back off relatively far, but they still decide to stay, even though a man down, and now they finally leave. Get the Phoenix. All 3 Phoenixes are down, but unfortunately, you know, Bad News Bears does get picked there.
Yeah, that just it feels rough, right? It's just right there. You know, you don't want that to happen. That's just that Phoenix sieging is an art, and it was a great Phoenix defense from V-Bakas, just showing, that hey, we still have a fighting chance in that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, all right, so you know, let me ask you a question here, right? 30 minutes have now passed, and this fire giant is being spawned in the next minute or so. How, if you're V-Buckus, how do you defend this?
One, you first of all you go to it. They
Okay.
can't not go to it. That is, if they decide, hey, we're just gonna defend Phoenixes. They have 2 Phoenixes up that have just spawned, so they have to put wards on it, and they have to be aware that Reaper towards it. 2, it all depends on Conva and Izzy, right? Shmipo doesn't have his ultimate coming up anytime soon, so you need Izzy to go in there and get somewhat of a pick in combat to create space and not just do what they did right there. That's
Yeah,
what you need to not
unfortunately.
do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, for one, I think Fire Giant is the best buff on RDO, considering that she is the greatest survivability, in my opinion, out of all of the Guardian solo laners, and EFG increasing damage done to Phoenixes and towers by 50% just guarantees that these Phoenixes get picked. NMR autoing for 218 without any minions. That Phoenix
Yeah,
immediately goes down, but V-Bucks just have to fight outside Titan. It's the only way that they can even force this, and they have to wipe.
yeah. They have to make sure that Reapers don't get Titan, because if they do, if they get into that room, that Titan's falling. But a great sanctified field from the side of V-Bach has put lessons. I'm just gonna go take this life. And
Yeah.
now they're a man down. It's Reapers can just take the game, getting another Phoenix.
Yeah, and that Sanctified Field is down, so it really forces them to just back up, and now this Oleron Aegis comes out as well, and it's just like Titan's gonna fall here. You know, just do some damage. NMR is just critting way too hard at this point for them to stop it. That RDO is not dying, and that's looking like game.
Yeah, Reapers taking game number 2 as we go into a great game 3. But let's break down this second game because there's a lot to talk.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think was the deciding factor there in that final game for Reapers?
NMR.
NMR for sure. I would 100%
I'm gonna keep it
agree with
real.
you there.
That was just
Yeah.
NMR.
Yeah, NMR was pumping damage there, especially towards the end. Obviously the Oleron was doing a ton of damage as well. Kind of hard to secure kills, unfortunately. He never got even full build. As you can see, just has the tiny trinket there in his last item slot, and did get the mannequin mace, which I'm quite surprised about, considering it does give 50 basic attack damage, but it really doesn't add to your power, and it's physical damage. So I'm quite surprised. What are your thoughts on that?
It doesn't feel too bad. I have upgraded to Mannequin's Mace before. And personally, I thought it felt really nice, mainly because all that magical defense they built against me is now null and void. But the problem is, it's you have to have a more so power focused build, and it just seems like a Shmeepo went for a more attack speed focused build, and it's not what I would have done personally.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and just like not having pen, I mean on Mannequin Mace really doesn't feel that great. Even on squishies as late game they get around upwards of 50 to 60 protections possibly. So it's a bit confusing, but I think they might have just taken it just for the extra damage. But I feel like a Typhon's Fang would have been the call there. Just a hard increase in damage with the Typhon's passive, as well as the pen.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that would have been better. But after that, game number two, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut to an intermission so we can head into game number three. Welcome back, everybody, to QSL. We're in a Game 3 situation. Real excited about this one. This is my first Game 3 I'm casting in QSL.
Yes, sir.
Regular season, might I add, because I did cast a Game 3 in the finals, but it's a different story for a different day. Anyways, it's still Panda Bear Ash, and it's still the one, the only Adzi. How's it going, man?
I'm doing good. Coming back from the quick break, game 3. You always love to see it. Yeah, great competition. But of course, it starts off on a bad note with Rigid Rigel having, subpar typing skills and making the
Yeah,
password ESL,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Shaking my
Uh,
head.
E is not even one key over from Q, it's two, so I don't know how that happened, but yeah, they had to drop lobby and now restart. Uh, so we will be getting in there momentarily. I'm really curious to see how this game 3 goes because it seemed like the late games on both games were just very one-sided. First, it was V-Bakas taking total control, and then, you know, now this time it was Reapers. So I'm very curious.
Yeah, it Reapers does have the momentum. It makes it harder for the V-Buckers because they they're put in the situation where they lost game two. It's it really messes with your mental if you don't have that strong of a mental. It's game threes are just a big test of mental at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I do not know if they have started this new
I
lobby.
I don't think they have. Honestly, you know what I blame this on? I blame this on Neptune. Never mind. Um, as unfortunately, there will not be any bans instead. Uh, so we can only assume bans. All right. So, all right, Adzi, let's go ahead. I think there was an Outwatch ban. Looking at the comps,
Yeah.
seems like a good Outwatch ban.
Yeah.
Maybe a Zeus ban, also.
I mean, Zeus in this next patch might be an actual ban.
Honestly. But I think seeing that no one went back to Oleron was most likely banned. So was the Honor most likely, maybe the Tsukiyomi. M. Morgan Le Fay first lessons wasn't banned, neither was the Athena. And I'm guessing the Ardia was banned because it's a good record.
Yeah. No, Ardia was picked up by
Oh, the
Kanba.
Ardia wasn't banned. Kanba
I
has it
think
now.
I think the Achilles was banned.
The
Uh,
Achilles was banned, yeah.
yeah, the biggest pick I'm looking at here is gonna be Bad News Bears is Thanatos. I mean, if Thanatos just, does Thanatos things and starts to steamroll, you know, that could that could very well end up being most of the game as Thanatos can just run the game, and especially with Hidden Blade being, kind of broken on Thanatos, you can still one shot late game with your auto cancels. It's actually a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. So I mean that's a whole hit or miss, and it's purely mechanics with that god. So we'll see what happens with that.
Uh, yeah, and another god, looking at the other side of Big Pick, is that Hell. Hell is such a great team fight god if you're able to have a presence. And I feel that's the biggest challenge with Hell, is it's hard to have a presence.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there because Hell's not like a typical mage where you can just sit on the back line and just free cast. Hell is someone that you have to get up in there, and you're gonna have to end up taking hits from the ADC. You're gonna have to end up taking hits from your front line, possibly getting stunned, CC'd out of your mind. But similarly, on the flip side, he's also hard to dive.
Yeah, Hell a really hard god to dive due to their curse ability, where they increase magical damage done to the targets within inside the circle, and they're just burst on you. I mean, the damage stance just has so much extra damage, and within this heal stance, you have a bit of extra survivability with that extra protections coming out from your ultimate, and of course, just the healing. It makes it feel really nice.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, just the switch stance itself is such a great mechanic, especially on a lot of these gods. Hell being a perfect example with, something like a cleanse, which is, hard to come by, especially these days with Geb being banned out completely most of the time, which I'm assuming was a ban here. The Chiron also having a cleanse. It seems like they are going for a lot of the, CC cleansing abilities here with the Hell and Chiron. Although the one thing I am curious about to see in this game is the build that Izzy will go on this Hell. The typical Doom Orb Rush from the I'm blanking on the item. Uh,
I meant
no, 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 no. The starter.
it's a starter. Okay,
Sands of
Sands of
Time.
Time.
Yes,
Yeah.
that item. So I'm curious just to see, what happens with that. As the typical build was Doom Orb into Mantle into, Charon's Coin, just a typical mage build from there on out, allowing that Hell to survive and giving that Mantle proc, which is a free stun and beads. So I guess we'll see, and that Hell could really make a difference.
Yeah, she really, really can. Especially just with just her general kit. And this is something that I like. As an ADC man, I'm messing around with just more different picks. And I feel like Izanami is back in power again. Um, Especially if you're comfortable. She feels really nice with the more so quote unquote new age ADC build, the Gilded Arrow into Devos. Uh, just it's easy stacks there.
Yeah, I will agree with you there that Izanami always being a high pressure god, but usually in the couple other seasons, always opting for the high power builds like Transcendence and Bloodforge items such as that. Now is really transferred well into the crit meta just due to the fact that her autos actually hit for 110% of her basic attack damage, which is quite a lot of damage, especially for something as crit where it multiplies by 1.5 to 2 damage, depending on protections, of course. So, yeah, Izanami's a great pick here. The only thing I'm concerned about is the lack of CC immunity. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make it hard for NMR to execute on that. But of course, what makes it a tiny bit easier is Thanatos landing down with those executes. If it is an Ami, she should be able to get people low enough. It makes it easier for the bad news bear. Just get a bit of counter damage.
Yeah, and I'm gonna agree with you there. And honestly, the one thing that I actually am quite surprised to see was the Chiron pick into a Thanatos, because I do believe that Thanatos does execute through Chiron ult. So Chiron does not have that survivability anymore, um, through the ult. So it's we'll see how that turns out. As the taunt animation did go out, but did hit nobody. So, uh, you know, the further into the game, it might matter more. Yeah, it's just quite unfortunate, honestly, for Mr. Pie. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out in the late game as Thanatos really starts to steamroll people with Hidden Blade and such. So
Yeah.
pretty standard starts all around, though, is what I'm seeing. Anything? Oh, maybe take a look at the solo lane.
Yeah, Suboptimal said, "Hey, I kind of want First Blood," and went Conduit Gem. There's one slight problem: he hasn't gotten First Blood because he's against an Ario, attempting for it, doing as much damage as he can. But yeah, not able to get it. I don't like the Conduit Gem thing.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't
I
feel
believe.
well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Conduit Gem, in my opinion, is a worse version of Bluestone. To be totally honest with you, I don't think it is that great of an early item compared to something such as Sands of Times, or even Vamp Shroud. Um, yeah, thanks Neptune. I just believe the I just believe both those items are better. Just due to the fact that Conduit Gem's passive really isn't that good. The one thing I do love about it is the upgrades, and there is the First Blood by
Yeah,
Suboptimal.
yeah. Suboptimal said, "Hey, I'm getting First Blood now," and he just kind of got angry.
Yeah,
So I guess good on him.
yeah.
Uh,
It does look like he went for a blue invade on the Kabrakan, and the Thanatos had rotated over and shut him down. So you know, it does make the laning phase for Conva a bit harder, unfortunately. But Kabrakan not having all that sustain from Vamp Shroud does make things a bit easier for him.
It really does, as a bit of poke is happening in the duo lane. NMR did get hit by the Chiron training shot thing. Masterful shot, thanks Neptune or whatever. Training practice. I don't know. Neptune's really been he's been like a backseat driver except casting. With like he's been talking like twice per game, and hearing his voice is kind of annoying. It's soothing, but like, gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I can somewhat agree with you there. It's a bit it is a bit annoying to hear him because he just pops out of nowhere. So I
Yeah,
mean,
it's kind of scary.
yeah, Neptune, go away, dude.
Yeah, bro, you're scaring me. Yeah, yeah,
Oh wow.
there's wow, Neptune saying no casters. There's the on to the right,
Yep.
and Rigid Original getting the second blood of this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, a lot of people don't even realize, especially in a little bit lower ranks, is that the support is extremely squishy early. So someone like Mr. Pi, who really doesn't have items online, just the Sentinels and the tier 1 Thieves, Glowing Emerald is quite easy to kill early game, especially without a dash such as Fade Away on Izanami. Um, but yeah, good pickup for them as a counter kill, although they're still slightly behind, around 1,000 gold. So we'll see if that lead continues or falls back down.
Yeah, this feels really nice with the Reapers, as that is a Genji's guard pickup from Suboptimal. So he just goes the damage starter and says, "Yeah, time to pick up a full defense item."
Yeah,
Suboptimal is kind of like my worst man, um, because
yeah,
like
that's cool.
he encapsulates everything that a solo laner is to me, and that's murder and tankiness.
Yeah, I mean, tank's OP. So
Yeah.
I think what Suboptimal is really going for here is the Gem of Focus play late game, to where he can go full defense and still get that extra mitigation. So I'm still looking forward to a Stone of Foul and a Spirit Robe pickup here, which I really wouldn't be surprised about. Stacking on the Kabrakan passive, and then still doing a ton of damage at the same time. So we'll look forward to that, to him being absolutely unkillable. So yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. An interesting play is Shmeepo going for this Transcendent first item. This ultimate is used by Suboptimal, looking for a bit of something. That stun is unsuccessful, but there is another stun, and Convo presses a button and gets out of there. Classic solo lane. Anyways, how do you feel about Shmeepo getting Transcendence first item, barring a starter?
Honestly, with Bumba's being nerfed back down to 7 power, I think it's a toss up. Bumba's usually being the best item for full power ADCs comparatively to like Bluestone, which is like what it initially was. Bluestone and usually going into Bluestone, Brooch or Corrupted Bluestone. Bumba's just having so much power, pen, and cooldown really makes it the ideal item. So it does give him variability, so he can really go anything he wants late game, which is quite nice.
Yeah, and it feels nice, right? Just being able to say, I'm gonna go into this starter item. It just feels great. Um, but if you're a Chiron, it's you don't really have that I just you don't have that oomph, right? Because although you do get Transcendence just stacked a tiny bit faster than NMR is gonna get Devo's stacked, that isn't necessarily gonna matter because Transcendence it's not gonna feel too nice because NMR is already gonna possibly get a kill on Rigid Ritual as he goes. Well, he doesn't. He goes away as Rigid does escape, but Izzy is low, and NMR and his team is just gonna somewhat drop that kill, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about a drop there, but that's a full disengage. I mean, you can't commit too hard because you never know where, see the Amir walking in right now. The Amir's just a big tanky and, hard CC, a wall and stuff like that. Really does do a lot as the ice shards do come out from Ymir. Doesn't really do much. Unsure what that was for. There was no one to engage on him. But I mean, going back to your Transcendence point, I just think that getting that trans on early as Chiron and not wanting to fight is where Shmeepo's at. Because it seems like in the other games that he's very worried about getting bullied before his damage comes on as Izzy falls, and they're all in the mid lane. Come on, production, get there, please.
Yeah, come on, production. We dislike you, even though you make everything run and like you kind of carry us, and without you, we can do nothing as suboptimal falls. We love
Yeah,
you,
so
production.
yeah, so the return kill on suboptimal is a really good kill for Rigid, due to the fact that suboptimal was quite large at level 10, highest level in the game, worth a lot of gold and experience. Does put Rigid up above the Thanatos. Um, so I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens. This Cabrakan could very well run the game if he gets even more ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Mainly because he has conduit gem. It doesn't feel nice. NMR showing proficiency within these builds, saying I'm gonna go Gilded Arrow, and then going into Wind Demon right after it. It's kind of been the meta. It's kind of been the meta as suboptimal picking up Breastplate of Valor as Rigid Rigil's on a killing spree, and the real Mr. Pie is falling low. He does luckily escape.
Yeah, Humbats is in a really good place right now, in my opinion. I think he should be, right around top 7 junglers or so. Just due to the fact that that cooldown items are so apparent. Humbats was the top pick back in season 7 due to the fact that Fear No Evil was on an 80-second cooldown once
Yeah.
you got Jotun's Wrath online. So it was it's a game-changing ability. It throws the whole team fight into disarray. It separates people. So like, you know, that ability being up so often makes it really hard to fight against. But once it got nerfed to 120 seconds, I believe he quickly fell out of favor. But with having 40% CDR, that really doesn't matter anymore. It's 48 seconds off your cooldown. It's basically nothing.
Yeah, it really is. As the Rumors Pie and Metaphoric both offer the not the Ancient Blade. I forgot what it's called, but I'm assuming they're gonna go into Relic Dagger.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe I believe it's called Light Blade. If our
like
production could take a quick
no,
look at it.
that's tier 1 of Ancient. I
Ancient
was
Blade.
right.
Correct. Yes.
It was Ancient. I was right. I know
Uh,
my stuff.
yeah,
I am smart.
I don't play support, so I don't play
Neither do I. I just yell at them to get the correct items. As a fight breaks out, Rigid, the real Mr. Pie falls to Izzy and a disengage from.
Yeah, and it's looking like NMR is caught slightly behind here in terms of rotation, unable to help his team, unfortunately. But they will look to pull Gold Fury here. Big objective in the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I agree. Great zoning coming out from Metaphoric. And everyone else, as V-Bakas do get the Gold Fury Athena as the counter engage, as we see the Thanatos nearly execute a Rigid Rigil as NMR gets a kill off of that, and that's going to be a disengage from the Reapers. Still securing the very slight lead they had with the Chiron going into Centaurus, getting the kill on Bad News Bears, and as we see Rigid Rigil go out of here, the real Mr. Pie falling low, as there's the masterful shot, Shmeepo getting a great double, and if you're at NMR, kind of saying to your team, guys, please don't.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say is that NMR is farming extremely hard at this point. He's really trying to just hit that late game to where he can crit everything and stop caring about, having to hit abilities and such. So I mean, his jungler falling behind, not too big a deal. I mean, he's 1-0, so yeah, he's 1-0 at this point, level 13, about even in the Chiron XP, ahead in gold. He's pretty much chilling.
Yeah, he really is, and with that Wind Demon, he just beats Shmeepo in every single 1v1, realistically. Um, it if you're a Chiron, you're not looking to win 1v1s. You're looking to cheese out your life in those 1v1s with Centaurus, or just escaping. Um, of course, this mid game, approaching on level 14, 15, is when you really want to take those with some ganks. If you're a Chiron, you really serve your purpose on those objectives.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. And you also have a
As
lot of
let's go ahead and take a look at just some micro support things. Because oddly enough, V-Bakas, as they've gotten more kills, it seems as if Metaphoric almost fell behind in Thebes stacks.
uh
Uh, as
yeah.
he was momentarily behind, now officially behind again, although they're getting so close to 50, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, and it looks like the lead's growing bigger
As my
on
co-caster
Hanva.
is kind of, he's just died. The can confirm. I can't see his camera, but I know he's dead. As
Hello.
Pyromancer does get pulled, but the presence of Bad News Bears scares them off. Oh, real Mr. Pie was sneaky there. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, I'm all alone now. Uh, Izzy, going for this Pyromancer, but of course, Suboptimal pushed up a bit too far. Come on, man, you can't be there. Fear no evil, and that ultimate, but the Athena ult is used, giving him that mitigations. But oh my lord, Conva, he's low as that. He goes up, but Conva dodges the execute as he's Izzy getting the and Shmipo is just kind of went into this fight.
Yo, Panda, can you hear me?
I can. You're alive again. Wow. As the Reapers go to pull the fire drive. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, no, I was there the whole time. You just couldn't hear me. I don't know what it was.
Oh, damn.
Neptune can hear me.
Damn,
Uh,
Neptune.
it's quite all right. I
Shaking
just
my
let
head.
you, I just let you go off for a bit. So
Yeah,
out
very
comes
epic.
from out comes the cleanse from the hell, cleansing that fear from the Morgan Le Fay as they pull Fire Giant at 14 minutes.
Yeah, maybe it was like a bait, because they all fall off of it, and they just say, it's not worth it. They got a few picks off of it, but they're still behind because if you look at the left lane, NMR did Izanami things.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. I mean, he's at 532 gold per minute, even higher than that Kabrakian. He's level 16. Even though the Chiron does have 2 kills, so he puts that T2 all the way down, which is
He just
huge golden experience lead.
he just took it. He said, "You know what? This is mine now. You can't do anything." And now, Shmipo rotating to deal with a Izanami who is a quite literal full item ahead of him, and that just is
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming if we take a look at the golden hand, he'll have enough for at least T2 trans or T2
uh
dominance is what it's gonna look like here. Possibly even a heart seeker. The only thing I am concerned about here is him not going the Aussie. It's looking like he's going full ability build
I'm concerned.
Chiron. Can
You see, I am having technical problem. Uh, as oh, okay, Animar getting the kill.
can you hear me, Panda?
As
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna continue casting then. No, it's totally fine. I got this. As Shmipo does fall there to the now level 18 Izanami. Izanami is quite large at this point in time, just due to him split pushing the entire way. And with those autos, he really is just a tower demon, someone like how Soul is. Uh, and as they secure the Primal Fury there, which is going to give them that increased damage on the next Fire Giant coming up, which is quite huge for them, considering that they don't really have a true secure, with Izzy really out damaging the Morgan Le Fay in terms of secure here with her 3. Um, as a full engage here from suboptimal, Tectonic Shift does come out and tremors them. Was that a curse knock? That was a curse song that did came out. There's the heal and the stun and the execute from Bad News Bears onto Izzy. NMR does kill Rigid. And oh my god, big Athenaton from Mr. Pi. Ymir will fall. Chiron is in his ultimate and he will die. And that is almost a full wipe as Conva does get a return kill on Lessons. Uh, it's not really looking good for V-Bakas right then and there. It's now a 5k gold lead for the Reapers as they will get this left Phoenix, which is quite large in terms of experience and gold. It will increase this deficit even further, right around 6,000 gold now. Uh, NMR is quite large at level 19, having the Kins and finally picking up the dominance here, giving him the pen he needs.
I
And
have great news.
oh, okay, you're back?
Yeah, that was my great news.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, apologies for the technical difficulties. Discord decided to uh like put me on like this weird route called no route. I've only heard of like Route 67, so
Yeah,
the
no,
route no is kind of weird.
it's all good. I was holding down the fort.
Yeah, thanks, man.
But yeah, no issues, of course. But it's looking like a bit of a lag for this Chiron, who's full ability damage here. It just doesn't give him the option to trade with NMR, as NMR has the Kins and the Wind Demon, as well as the Devos giving him the sustain. So the Chiron just kind of loses that fight every time, unfortunately.
Yeah, he he really does. It's 18 minutes into this game, nearing on 19, and NMR is level 20. He kind of just split pushed and said, "Hey, I'm level 20." But 19 minutes into this game, Lessons and Izzy are only level 15 and 14. It's
Yeah. It's going to be very hard for this Hell to really do anything, especially with this Izanami, who's so many higher levels as they pull Fire Giant. This is looking like it's going to be relatively free as everyone from V-Bakas is on the left side of the map.
Yeah, it's just Conva there, and well, they decide, you know what, these camps are looking mighty nice. As Reapers to take the Fire Giant, and what is V-Bakas gonna do? I
It's
mean,
looking like
they're
they're going for a
in
base rush.
left. They interesting. They're all gonna back, and that tier 2 is gonna fall. And I mean, who's gonna get there? It's just Conva who's posed for a Phoenix defense.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's looking like that Hunbat staying was a bit of a misplay there, as well, I guess they are delaying, so they're not going in right away. But now that the Hunbats is here, the Fear No Evil can be a huge thing as it covers the entire entrance.
Yeah, it covers the entire entrance. But the thing is if you're the Reapers, you gotta play it smart. Especially if you're suboptimal, you don't have blink, so you can use that to your advantage. Maybe think, step up, using that blink, and also you're level 17. Richard Ridgel's only level 15, with y- not much power on the board. I mean, he just has Jotun's Heartseeker Hydros.
Yeah. And it's looking like an engage coming from here, trying to get a pick. The beads are forced. Here comes Tectonic Shift from the Kabrakan. And it looks like Gama's getting caught. The Fear No Evil comes out though.
Yeah,
As
there was
well
that
as the
Fear No Evil you were
Centaurus.
talking about.
Wow, quite a lot of damage there. Everyone is low. Shattering Ice. NMR though just hurts, man.
Metaphoric? Where did he go? He was just deleted their Athena backs and says, well, I'm full health, as this hell having to use her beads, healing just out of it, and suboptimal falling real low, as does NMR. They're gonna disengage here.
Yeah,
Logically.
full disengage. A bit of a late reaction on the Aegis from NMR. Possibly could have killed him, to be honest with you. But the Chiron is doing decent damage. It's just that he can't trade with anybody, and he's still a whole item behind.
An item and a tier 1.
Well,
Get her,
yeah,
you stupid, dummy, idiot chair 2 who knows everything.
no, no,
I
no.
corrected you on a visual thing. I am the superior person. It's how it works.
Well, you're still incorrect because he has Ornate Arrow, which is a full item, and he is much
Ah,
better.
damn. So he's, oh, gosh darn. Oh, dilly darned me. He's 2 items ahead.
Well,
It's
no, it's only one. It's just
only
Ornate
one.
Arrow,
It's just
and
Ornate Arrow.
it's
Am
just
I,
Ornate Arrow,
it's
and
just
it's a new
Ornate
one.
Arrow.
Yeah.
Darn. Wait, you tried to tell me I was wrong. I am not good at math. He's probably a full item ahead. But
He's a
that's
full
a
item
big
ahead.
goal. It's okay. All right, Mr. Share 2 Man. I'll believe you this time.
Yeah. So I
But
mean,
next time,
yeah. I mean, what's quite astonishing is that the kills really don't represent how far apart this game is at the moment. As you can see, Reaper's grouped up in left lane, but it's only 9 to 11 in terms of kills, but they're up 11K at this point in terms of gold.
Yeah, and it's showing within these team fights. I mean, the Lessons was able just to go in, and so was everyone else. Shmeepo falling, Conva getting a kill on suboptimal, as it's a 3v4 favoring V-Bakas, but it doesn't seem that way. It's NMR is just shredding within these team fights. As Hunbats is low, Bad News Bears gets the kill, and oh my lord, I think that was metaphoric right there as he gets shredded a triple for Bad News Bears. He is unstoppable, and it is looking great. It is just Conva and Izzy. Conva having to do something, getting pressured out. Izzy getting the kill on real Mr. Pie via the Titan. But it is just the Thanatos. The Thanatos being focused by Bad News Bears. Come on! As it's just, they should focus the Titan MMR on a rampage. As he falls, the minions of light just take it. Reapers take a very, very close game 3.
Wow, what an ending. NMR, they're hard carrying that entire game, being 5-0, as well as that full ornate dominant Kins and Wind Demon with the, with the 80% on that, 80% crit on that item. It was just nothing that the V-Bakas could do.
They really couldn't. I mean, that's just it shows there, right? NMR who just kind of told his team, "I am focusing Titan," and then when his team died, he said, "You know what? I'm gonna take this game," and he does just that with all three of those minion waves pouring in. It's
Yeah, well,
great awareness from NMR.
yeah, 100%. I mean, the fact to still auto that Titan even while getting chased out by the RDOs is great game IQ. The one thing I will say is that the Thanatos really had a huge impact late game, which is not something you generally see. He had many executes that really helped them play through the rest of this game, as well as the Cabrakan just kind of being in their face the whole game, which was pretty large. But NMR just kind of carried the rest of that game and played it extremely well.
Yeah, he really didn't. Although the gold and all that doesn't show how close that game was at the end there, NMR was on, I believe, double-digit health. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that is insane. That is, if I am the Reapers, that was, well, specifically NMR. That is the biggest pop off of my life there. But that doesn't discredit how well V-Bach has played. Not necessarily. They played well in this game. Don't get me wrong, but the Reapers, I don't know what it was about this game 3. They just played it better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm just looking here at the stat lines in terms of just player damage, and just look at NMR versus the rest of his team, and
My
versus
God.
the V-Bakas in general. You have 25,000. He's doubling the next, more than doubling the next closest person on his own team, and the only person coming close on V-Bakas was the Chiron. But unfortunately, Izanama's piercing autos really kind of shut that down, not allowing Conva or Metaphoric to really tank any of those autos for his Hell or for the Hunbats. So really well played by NMR.
Yeah, that was a great play by NMR. We're going to go through it to a quick intermission for a interview.
Alrighty, and as the end of the set came to a close over here, we do have the support from the winning team, Reapers, Mr. Pie, with us for a quick interview. So,
Doing.
Mr. Pie, how did you think that that whole set went?
Well, game one was our very first time playing together as a 5-man. It did not feel good.
No, what do you think? It was just lack of communication or lack of
Uh,
chemistry in there?
Definitely like okay. So we went in. We let NMR pick all of our gods on who we were playing, and
That's
we
your
all
first
just.
mistake.
I know, right? It was just really awkward. Like, not everyone looked good on the gods that they were assigned. I'm not gonna name names here, but some looked more comfortable than others.
Oh my God, leave him alone.
Cough, Bears. Cough, cough. Bad news, Bears.
But as the
Uh,
set went on, we I
yeah.
honestly
So
don't think I get Athena 2 games in a row again.
yeah, I saw you looking pretty good on that, Athena. That was one of the predictions I had first made on the second game as soon as you got it. That once you hit around like level 9, level 10, when you max that Athena taunt, you gets pretty dangerous. It's like right around 1.5 seconds, I believe the taunt lasts for. So that's a lot of time to do damage.
It definitely is, and it got to the point towards the end of that game where I would just dash at set and set with beads. I wouldn't have to taunt, wouldn't have to do anything. I would just dash, and they were dropping relics. That's how I knew
Yeah,
it was over.
yeah. So what did you guys think was the big problem for you guys before you started to get online in the second and third game?
I honestly thought we were just pretty rolling in the second and third game. Like the kills were close in both the games, but we had a pretty significant lead in both games. We weren't really worried.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. The late game comp kind of rolled together a bit better than V-Bakas did, unfortunately for them. Your ADC popped off both games. NMR doing a ton of damage and pretty much finishing that third game by himself a little bit. Autoing the Titan down with
I want
slivers
you to
of
know,
HP left.
I was trolled. They were going for more kills instead of attacking the Titan, so I died to Titan, thinking that we were actually going to end the game.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just thought the Titan was gonna kill all of you. So
Yeah, no, it
Was
probably
hoping
should
for
have.
that.
We deserved it.
I really wanted to cast a 3-man Titan kill, but you guys were mean and ended the
yeah,
game.
Panda Bear Ash, if you go back and watch the VOD, was unbelievably hyped.
I had
It was
the pleasure of watching the end of it.
it was quite
Very hype.
hilarious. It was quite hilarious. But I will say that the rest of your team played extremely well. Going into the second and third game, meshing really well. Just my one quick question before this is interview's over. What did you think of suboptimal starter item?
Oh, the conduit gem. He's like, listen, guys, I'm about to pull some cheesy shit right now, and then we all just like, you know what, you do you, man. After that RDO game, we were all committed to whatever he was doing. We were going in.
Mhm.
I've learned that him and I make a pretty good front line for our backliners. Just kind of do what they want.
Alrighty. Well, congratulations to you and the Reapers again. This was Mr. Pie, the support, who only plays Athena and can't play
Okay,
anything else.
okay.
No, I'm kidding, of course.
Dude, I
Uh,
wanted to play Emoja, but they banned it all 3 games. They're scared of it.
yeah, should have played the Boulder. But yeah, congratulations to them again, and of course, good luck to them throughout the rest of the season, as well as good luck to V-Bakas. Server owner. All right.
Facts.